All right. So we are here with the man himself, Robert Mills. Robert, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Good. I'm glad to have you here, man. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad to be here. I've been waiting to start hooking up with people.
Absolutely.
Get this stuff all worked out.
Absolutely. Get some exposure to this incident.
Oh, yeah. Everybody needs it, so yeah.
Yeah. So you, obviously in this case that we're talking about, you were in the prosecutor's office, the Marion County prosecutor's office. And my question is, first of all, what were you doing at the Marion County prosecutor's office to begin with? What was your intention there?
Well, I mean, the whole intent was I've been trying ever since my arrest to get background information on everybody involved. So everybody's denied it. I've never gotten anything.
Your arrest, this is a former arrest, not this one.
Yeah.
This is an arrest that happened.
Yep.
So you're going to find some information on this other arrest.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
So I go in there. As usual, that nobody wants to take a public records request. So she wants me to wait. So I wait on her supervisor. In the meantime, I fill out my public records, and then I try to turn them in. She said her supervisor will be back in like 7 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'll go check out the building. Then went to check out the building. Everything is fine until I get upstairs. And I go to the left and I look and I was like, oh, authorized personnel, or you got to be escorted beyond these doors. Like, okay, look the other way. Well, it's another prosecutor's office. So,
Yeah.
I'll go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So at that time, though, you were waiting on the supervisor, the lady downstairs had told you need to wait on.
Yeah, exactly.
And at first, she had told you it was about an hour you were going to have to wait.
Yeah, well, when I first talked to her, she said it's an hour. So.
Right. Yeah, they really like to take their time.
Yeah.
So, and you said you were trying to get some requests on some information for arresting officers, prosecuting attorneys. So that seems like a legitimate piece of business that you're there to conduct. Is that how you interpret that as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought, but
yeah.
Apparently you're not allowed in there without an appointment from what they say, but I know that's not true.
Yeah, that is interesting. So, and I wanted to ask you, because something that confused me in the video was when the police came and when when this Bob guy, who he said his name was Bob, when he was asking you these questions, you went over and you pointed to the sign that said, please keep children off of tables and chairs. Is there significance to that? Is that a governmental requirement to have that kind of stuff in there? Is that why you were pointing that out?
It's a good thing you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of trolls have mentioned me stating that sign.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my intent on pointing out that sign repeatedly is the fact that whose kids are in here that you got to worry about climbing on the table. Who are the signs for?
Okay.
Are they for the parents that bring kids in who are trying to receive service? Obviously, that's what the signs are there for.
Yes.
I didn't see none of their kids running around in there. And, there was nobody in there. It was me and the public servants. That was it. So
It would almost be concerning if the public servants were taking their kids there to just hang out.
yeah, well, it'd be a little more concerning to see the public servants over there reading those books and playing with those blocks and stuff over there.
Yeah, and that's about the maturity level that these people have, for sure.
Yeah.
So when the cops came, first of all, scale from 1 to 10, how safe did you feel?
Well, I mean, when I saw 4 of them, I could tell when they rounded the corner it wasn't going to be good. I mean, I just saw attitude right off the bat as soon as they rounded the corner. So I knew this wasn't going to be good. Then, I'm looking, nobody's got a body camera on. And then there was a mention, the guy said his name is Bob. I heard his name's not really Bob.
He said that himself in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somebody else told me his name's not Bob, it's something else. But anyway, so I heard Bob, saying get the court deputies, and I'm thinking, court deputies? Is there a court in this building too that I wasn't aware of? And there must be, but I still don't know because I never got that far. So guess I'll have to go back and see. Yes,
and that would be a dangerous prospect going back into that building, seeing as what happened to you the first time.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of restrained right now. We got a no contact order. So.
Okay, so who is that no contact order on?
I'm not allowed to go to the prosecutor's office. I've got a no contact order.
Even if you were violently attacked by somebody?
They said I could here's the thing. They said I can make an appointment. So if I can make an appointment, how am I trespass? I mean,
you're
unlimited trespass? I've never heard of such a thing. So
sounds very, very confusing. So the next question I have is when the cops came in, the lady behind the desk exclaimed, "He's been taking pictures of my computer screen and the walls and all this." And the deputy's response, if you remember, "Oh, that's not going to happen."
Yeah.
So, to your knowledge, is there any law prohibiting public photography when it comes to public officials or public employees' computer screens?
No, I mean, I know for a fact there's nothing that restrains me from taking video of whatever I can see. I mean, it's a plain view doctrine. I mean, I would think it's pretty much common sense if I was to just walk up to that window not recording at all. I mean, I got a pretty good memory. I could memorize a lot of the stuff that I saw, especially if I wanted to, really know what it was and keep it in mind.
Yeah.
I wouldn't forget it,
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and I believe we can put it up on the screen. It's Katz versus United States, I believe. It says there's no reasonable expectation of privacy in public. And I would assume that would also apply to public employees as well.
Yeah.
So it seems curious. So why don't you kind of walk us through, because in the video, we did not really get a good view of what happened to you after it got violent.
Yeah.
And in the video, for YouTube purposes, we did have to blot it out. So why don't you describe, as best as you can remember, what did they do to you? I want you to start right before you called them for lack of a replacement word, a cocksucker. You called him a cocksucker.
Yeah.
What led you to call him that? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it. The court deputy pretty much from the top, I'd say 98% of the time he had his hands on me. Once he put his hands on me, they was pretty much there 98% of the time. So we, to the elevator, in the elevator, out of the elevator, we get to the front door. So he shoves me through the front door. And then that's when I called him a cocksucker. Well, he didn't like that too much, so he comes and at some point he steps on my foot, but he has a hold of me, shoves me through the second set of doors.
With his foot on your foot?
Yeah. And then he pulls me back in, and then spins me around, and then slams me in the corner, and then that's when he starts choking me. Now people don't really see what's going on. I can feel it in my throat. And if you slow it down real good, you can see where he's actually got his thumbs in my throat. So that's what he's using to choke me with, is his thumbs. And so, I got a little word out to it, how I felt about him. And then his lieutenant, after a couple seconds, starts saying, "Stop resisting, stop resisting." And I'm thinking, I'm pinned up against this wall getting choked. And, and I say, I'm not resisting. Then after that, to me, I felt like I was going to pass out because, I don't remember what happened to my phone, how it ended up on the floor, and then I think what kind of brought me back is when they yanked me from the wall and throw me down on the floor.
And we don't see any of that in the video.
Well, you will. It's on my body cam footage.
Okay.
I've got it posted.
Okay.
So, so at the point I'm on the floor, the one officer puts his leg across my back and across the back of my neck. And, you can clearly see because my body camera at this point flew off. And my camera just landed in a perfect angle and then caught everything. I couldn't ask for a better landing,
Right.
if I had paid for it probably. So, I got perfect angles of everything. And clearly you can see I'm not resisting. I've never resisted an arrest. Even though I've got every right to physically defend myself in those moments, I don't do it, and I'll say the reason why I don't do it, it's not because I'm scared. I can't afford to bond. Assault on a police officer, that's got to be proven that I have every right to do it. I can't even prove I have a right to be in public video right now. And it's been going on for over a year, so.
That's an incredible point you make. You can't even prove that you have a right to video in public.
Yeah.
When there's no explicit law against it, of course you have the right.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, when these people came in, their problem was with you recording the computer screen, which, by the way, I don't exactly remember you recording the computer screen.
No, I never recorded the video screen.
That was the claim she made.
Yeah.
So, but we've already established we can't think of any law. And I've done extensive research into this. I haven't found a law.
Yeah.
So ultimately, these gentlemen that came and attacked you were not enforcing the law. They were enforcing their feelings or something like this.
I think they were enforcing her feelings because, I think the biggest concern with her was I was videoing her because when I went to the window, she started getting squirrely real quick.
Yes.
And she probably hasn't moved that fast all year. But,
yes.
She was scooting and booting around trying to get somebody because I'm in there videoing, so I'm a big problem.
Yeah.
And that's where we get in trouble at, right? Even though we're lawfully allowed to do what we're doing, these people's feelings, they start springing up, and their minds just go crazy, and they start saying all kinds of crazy stuff. I did video back there. I videoed their stuff that they ordered fast food from. I videoed a paper they had hanging from the wall, but I didn't video the screen. I mean, I could have videoed the screen, and from the distance I was at, I mean, what would I have made out on that computer screen anyway?
Yes.
Nobody would have been able to see it. I'd probably have to take a picture of it, zoom it in, or do something like that. But I was videoing, so I've never got my video to get good contrast from a far distance on anything like that. Not that that's my, I don't try to video computer screens anyway.
Right.
I just want to go in there and see how they act.
Right. And at this point, we've already established you're waiting at this point. You're not just there doing nothing. You're trying to gather information about an arrest that you experienced.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of information I want, and a lot of us that are getting arrested, nobody's handling their court cases right. That's why so many are on probation. What are you guilty of? And I'm not going to let the court is not going to scare me into pleading anything. They've already offered me a plea bargain.
What was that plea, if you don't mind me asking? If you do, feel free to say. I don't want to. Okay.
I don't care what you guys know. Everybody can find out whatever they want. At this point anyway.
Yes.
And I've got nothing to be ashamed of or nothing to be embarrassed about.
Absolutely not.
So I had a public defender at the time, and she was really excited about this. She tells me, well, the supervisor had to twist the prosecutor's arm, but he gave you a deal, and the prosecutor only offers these deals to like 1 in every 100 cases, and has never offered it on somebody with 2 cases. And I was like, oh yeah? She's like, yeah. I said, well, I'm not taking it. And she's like, well, let me tell you what it is. I'm like, okay. So you pay $400, so they turn this into a civil thing. That's the way I look at it. You pay $454 and don't get arrested for a year. And it's not me pleading guilty, and it's not anything like that. It's just saying that they had every right to take it to court. Or she said 40 hours of community service. And I was like, no, I'm not taking it. I already told you I'm not taking any deal. And I said, if it makes you feel any better, it looks like we're already making history because they've never offered this deal to anybody. So, we're doing something there.
Very good point. So they actually offered you a deal. They said, you don't even plead guilty, and we'll let this go after a year as long as we don't say you broke the law again.
Yeah.
And if you had taken it, you haven't broken the law the entire time, but they would still have the right to take you to court because essentially they charged you again.
Yeah, exactly.
At false charges. So it seems though you made the right decision in that sense, not taking that deal at the first opportunity because.
Well, to me, taking that, here's the thing. I'm never going to take any deal. I'm innocent. But to take that deal would just ruin everything that I was about. It would ruin the whole purpose of everything that I've done. And it would, to me, even though it's not admitting any guilt, it is admitting guilt to me because if they had a right to take it to court, then something's got to be wrong to take it to court. There was nothing wrong in what I did. So I'm not taking a plea. They can keep that plea, and we'll take it however far they want to go. If they want to charge me in the end, they're never going to get me to sign anything. Whenever I do sign anything, it's my appearances and all my documentations I submit are for special appearance. I put it on my signature for special appearance, and anything I sign through them is under duress. And I make sure I put it down that it's under duress. All this is unlawful. You're not going to get me to comply with anything. And I've got some interesting stuff that's happened too. Just throughout this whole court process. Like I told you, I was arrested for contempt of court because I flat out called the prosecutor out during court. I try to be polite and try to asked the judge if I could just say something. I want to say something to the judge. And the judge is like, no, take it up with your attorney. And the reason why they say that is because when we're in there and we got somebody represent us and we're looked at as we're incompetent or we're basically children and we don't understand what's going on, so we need to sit there and shut up and let somebody else handle our affairs. Well, that other person's not going to be the one paying the consequence. That's us. And I'm not paying the consequence for somebody else's incompetence. So, I just had to say what I needed to say. The prosecutor's a crook. He's a danger to the people of Indiana.
You said this in court.
Yeah.
And because of that, you were held in contempt.
Yeah, well, at that point, I may have said a couple cuss words, but that's how I do it. But anyway.
But the prosecutor says you're a crook. That's why you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
But they don't get held in contempt of court.
No, that's reserved for us.
Yes.
Those are our special treatments. And so when the bailiffs come over to handcuff me, like I said, I don't resist. And the funny thing is, I knew something. I knew I was going to say something, so I was prepared to get arrested. And all the way up until
I just want to point that out. He knew he was going to say something, so he knew he was going to be arrested. The First Amendment is dead. So continue on.
Yeah, especially in court.
Absolutely.
But like I said, I never resist. But all the way up until I got called up, I thought that I knew I was going to probably get arrested or handcuffed or something because they wasn't going to like what I had to say. And I was going to resist the arrest. I was going to fight these bailiffs off. And I kind of got talked out of it. But anyway, so as I'm getting cuffed up, I tell the judge, if I find out you're involved, and I'm looking right at him, if I find out you're involved, I'm going to sue you too. And he didn't like that at all. And I said, I'm complaining to the judicial board. I've already sent complaints. Nobody responds to anything. I've tried to talk to everybody. The Office of the Inspector General, Lieutenant Governor, the federal U.S. Attorney, the state's attorney, even though they work for the state and the federal, the U.S. Attorney works for the federal. There's documents that you submit to the federal U.S. Attorney that puts a halt to this nonsense that's going on in state court. State court doesn't follow what they're supposed to follow. They follow whatever they want. And it's statute, it's the statutes. We're not held to those statutes, especially what we're doing. What we're doing is all constitutional. So it's got subject matter jurisdiction all over it. And whenever you mention subject matter jurisdiction, anything in court is supposed to come to a halt. And they're supposed to see what you're talking about. But they don't want to do that because that doesn't bring a prosecution.
Do you think that they are aware of this themselves, or do you think they're merely ignorant and think that you're ignorant?
No, I don't think they're ignorant to it. I think they know.
They know.
They know. You got to understand, if you're in that job, I hate to say that because so many of these public servants look so ignorant in their duty. But these judges, all of us people, we have to believe that these judges are at a higher standard and they at least understand that what we're saying is true. Yeah. So in the beginning, I just sat back and I kind of observed what was going on with these hearings and everything. And then I started noticing that there was stuff that they were doing that I wasn't included in. And then there's, the fact that where is my discovery? I want to be able to research this stuff myself. I want to see what's going on. I want to see what people are talking about. I want to know what they say. Because, it's all against me. So if I'm going to have some kind of proper defense, I need to know what I'm defending. You want to spring it all on me and just let me hear out of their mouth during the trial? Well, I'm not happy with that, and I'm not comfortable with that. I need pre-notice, what they said, and so I know how to question them. One way or the other, I'm going to have involvement in my case, even if I got to do it myself. When I went to court for my bond revocation, if it wasn't for Chile and Team DLZ getting me that attorney, I was the first case they called up.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that just before you go on about because a lot of people that will watch this won't know what that even is. Team DLZ is Team Delete Laws, and Chile held a fundraiser for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and he raised how much money for you to get
$3,000.
$3,000 to get you an attorney on a misdemeanor charge, am I right?
Yeah.
And so hopefully, so that's great, that's brilliant. And so when you went in, What were you about to say about the bond revocation hearing?
Well, I mean, that's what it was a bond revocation. So, you know, I was first one up, and as I was going up, I started noticing that all these sheriffs are just coming out from everywhere, all these court deputies. And I'm like, okay, exits block, you know, exits block. Then, I mean, well, first of all, I went too fast with that. So first of all, when I go in, I look over in the corner, and the two court deputies that were at the prosecutor's office were actually in court. And so, you know, I let one of them know that I see him, you know, I give him a little bird, let him know, you know, I see you over there. And I'm like, what are they doing here? You know, it's a bond revocation hearing. And my bond revocation wouldn't be on this current hearing, on this current case, it'd be on my, you know, my previous case.
Of course.
Because this is my second bond, not my first. So, so we get up there, and you know, like I said, all the court deputies start blocking all the exits, and then I mean they call one of the court deputies up, and they swear him in, and
one of the ones that was present at your arrest.
yeah, the lieutenant.
Okay.
And so they swear him in, and my attorney, I mean, he's kind of mind blown by this, and he's like, "What's going? I don't understand what's going on. I mean, I thought we were doing a bond revocation. What's this guy getting sworn in for, pretty much?" But the judge allows it, you know, so I'm thinking in my mind already, dirty, you know. But he allows him to go in. And the odd thing is, my attorney didn't really say much. I mean, the only thing he really, I mean, after they both testified, he kind of questioned what they were talking about, because even though the guy that pretty much did all the batteries and strangled me, was, you know, said his part, neither one of them seemed to admit who had a hold of me and who did what. And then they tried to make the indication that the reason why it went like that is because after me being escorted from the third floor down to the first floor, all of a sudden I turned like it was in a violent manner or something, even though I was never violent the whole time.
You weren't. I watched the video. That's
yeah,
insane.
So, and I mean, to me, you know, him just saying that, even that wouldn't be enough, because I don't think that the focus was on the bond revocation, you know, and I'm whispering to my attorney, you know, I'm like, they're lying, he's the one that strangled me, you know, whatever. And then the judge finally is like, hey, we can hear you. I'm like, oh, my bad, Your Honor. But, you know, I'm thinking, you can hear me? Good. And you know that I've been sitting here telling my attorney that crook, dirty, lying, he's the one that strangled me. You know, and my thing is always when I go to court is, roll a TV out here and let's watch a video. You know?
Videos don't lie.
No, exactly. So what are we doing? I mean, there's evidence. You know, I'm willingly give you my evidence. Roll a TV out here and let's see what happened. And you know, it was hard for me to say, I want to place these you know, pieces of crap under citizen's arrest, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah. But,
you know, I'm already kind of walking the fine line with the judge already. You know, he's already arrested me for contempt. And, but, you know, I'm not the sit down, shut up, and take it type of person. And,
yeah, I think that's a normal thing for a grown man.
Yeah.
I don't think that any grown man should be subjected to a place where the people that he pays tell him to sit down and shut up. And that is exactly what happened in your case. And I think that's a very interesting thing. I want to know what your take on this Bob character telling you that you did pay for the building right before they proceeded to attack you in it and wheel you off to jail for being inside of it.
you know, I try to, with Bob, with everybody pretty much, I try to let them know, if anything goes south on any of this, I'm going to sue you. You guys are going to be held liable. I try to explain to them exactly what gives me the right to do it, and what gives them, you know, they have nothing they can say about it. I mean, the problem is nobody's ever acted on them, you know, and a lot of people say, well, you know, I make threats, I'm not going to sue anybody, lawsuits cost money. Well, when do they cost money? When you lose. I mean, that's why I brought my bag in. I've got lawsuits galore that I filed. I haven't paid a penny to file a lawsuit. You know, I'm going to defend my law. If I have to defend my lawsuits myself, I will. here's the way I look at courts. See, you or I, we're not attorneys.
Right.
Attorneys, even the attorneys, they study the court procedure and trial rules, and that's all they study. Now, when they get a case, or when they get a client, then that shows what the client's charged with. So it's the attorney's duty to try to defend those charges in the exact manner that they're being charged under. I mean, that's simple. Now, apparently not as simple as these charges where people are being charged unlawfully. They seem to be pretty complicated. But
Yeah.
I've talked to several attorneys, and when I say several, I probably mean like hundreds of attorneys. And they tell me, yeah, I did take constitutional, but it wasn't very long, and it's not really required. And it's been so long ago, you know, and that's the thing. Why would you need a constitutional attorney if nobody's filing constitutional charges against anybody, if, constitutional rights violations? If there's no money in it, then who's going to defend it? Because not enough people have stood up against these unconstitutional things that are happening in the courts. There's no place for it. I mean, in Indiana, even when I was looking for an attorney, people were telling me, good luck getting an attorney in Indiana. And I did, I'd say me, but my wife talked to an attorney during court, and he told me the fact that he knew that this was going to end up in a lawsuit, he didn't want no part of it, because he didn't want to lose his credibility in the courtroom with the prosecutor and the cops and the judge. So his credibility is more important than, my innocence, even though I'm nobody. To you, to Ty, to, the people around, I'm nobody to a lot of people. But in doing what I'm doing, I'm starting to become somebody because people are starting to see what I'm going through. And I'm not out looking to cause trouble. Sure, I'm a loudmouth. Sure, I cuss them out. But what's illegal about that? When I'm hit with these public servants and they come to me with this unlawful stuff, their criminal action right off the bat, then I put myself in a position as if I was homeless, if I was drunk, or if there was somebody in the middle of a mental break, or somebody that possibly is mentally ill, how is this officer going to handle that person? Because I'm sober and saying what I say, who cares? It's words. They tell us as kids, sticks and stones, right? The way I act should never interfere with the way that you handle me during law. And I use that word law loosely because nothing that's going on here has anything to do with law. I've read law. I've researched all my cases. I've researched, and I don't have all this stuff memorized.
Right.
But I do have it documented, and I have read it. And it's a lot. And and the thing is I'm trying to get a handle on federal and state at the same time, because I'm going through both. And from my first arrest, I've been going through both. Because at the Minton Federal K-Park building, I was issued a ticket, and I had to defend that ticket myself. And of course, they dismissed it, and they wasn't stupid enough to charge me with disorderly and trespassing, even though my conduct was exactly the same as it is in every one of my videos. When the security guard roughed me up, yes, I told him all about himself. I told him about his weight, the way he looks, his attitude. I told him about everything, and as many cuss words as I could think of, and I probably made some words up too. And I meant every one of them. Because how can you do that to me? And you're a security guard. Not even being just a security guard, an officer, a public servant, just being you're supposed to be a human being. You don't do that to another human being. You don't rough up somebody, even though what you're doing is unlawful. You let your feelings get a hold of you, and that controls the whole outcome of what happens to me. And then, I don't get where these people say, be respectful. You're going to get demonetized. I don't care about demonetized. I don't care about the money. I've been happy all this time on what I've had. Right now I'm living with a lot less money than I've lived with my whole life. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with what I got. And I wake up and I'm happy because of what I have. It's not what I can buy. It's what I'm doing and who I'm with, you know.
Well, I congratulate you on that, because that is something that is very difficult to do, I think, in this day and age, is find happiness in this very messed up world. So that's an accomplishment, I think, if there is any. It's interesting. So you're not, ever since you've started YouTube and you've started exercising your rights, your income has not greatly taken a leap upwards.
No, I mean, I don't know exactly what happened. I mean, I don't know if this me videoing has anything to do with it, you know, because whenever something happens to me, obviously I go up the ranks, right? So Social Security, I go up to the ranks to the, you know, top person in Social Security, or if I have to, I go above that. And then, I mean, my whole YouTube history is me jumping through all these hoops, trying to get somebody to do something about what someone did to me, right? So, and so far, nobody's done anything. I mean, I'm still going to court, and I'm innocent, which is a joke. I mean, it's disgraceful. So, I mean, I can officially say that I've proved, and I feel that I've got enough proof to basically put the courts under. I mean, they should be under investigation. The prosecutor's office should be under investigation. The lieutenant governor's office should be under investigation. The office of the inspector general should be under investigation. The FBI should be under investigation. I mean, I call them. I mean, I've submitted complaints to everybody. I call them anymore and they hang up on me. The U.S. attorney, federal and state, should be under investigation. I mean, the whole thing needs to be under investigation. I mean, I tell these people all the time, who do you call to get justice in Indiana? If you've called everybody, can you tell me somebody that I've left out? Because I think I covered all the bases. I mean, the Department of Justice. I've even called as far as Washington, D.C. I mean, that's where these, you know, where the tops are supposed to be at. And I mean, I don't get a call back or anything like that. You know, I'm sure if I call back, they'll probably hang up on me or whatever. I mean, they can sweep it under the rug all they want. The thing is, I'm not going to shut up, and I'm not going to stop. I mean, I'm kind of limited right now. Sure, I could go out and video, but one more arrest, they're definitely going to lock me up. And what am I going to fight in a jail cell when I have people that I feel that are incompetent to handle my case? My attorney might be a good attorney. I don't know him. I didn't know my other attorney.
And he's not going to be the one sitting in jail for the
Exactly.
sentence if you are found guilty of any charge.
Yeah, that's me. You know,
That's you.
Yeah, I'm the one that's going to take the rap, and nobody's going to care about that. And I mean, when we get into these lawsuits, and this is another thing I say, everything they have has a fine on it. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything's got a fine attached to it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to me and my fines, and I mean, you probably hear me say it in my videos quite often, I'm not cheap. I'm not going for $100,000, $200,000. I mean, how much do you put on you being a man? How much do you want for somebody to strip that from you? For somebody to just demoralize you and strip you down to nothing and beat you and strangle you in the corner? How much would that cost for you to allow somebody to do that?
I always ask the question, how much are your rights worth to you?
Well, yeah, but this is, I mean, when you get into being strangled and choked, I mean, granted, when I was strangled, I wasn't handcuffed yet. I mean, I don't think that really would have mattered.
No.
But I was choked when I was handcuffed. And while I was being choked, the other big officer, he was using the handcuffs as a pain compliant tool. You know, he's digging them in my wrist. And I'm sure it's on his body cam because I told him, you know, I'm like, you think digging those handcuffs in my wrist, you know, it did hurt.
Yes.
I wasn't going to admit it. And I said, you think digging those handcuffs in my wrist, you think you're hurting me? And I told him, I've hurt myself more than you'll ever hurt me, boy. And, you know, I mean, it did hurt. And,
Did you go to jail after that? Did they haul you away to the cage and make you sit in there for a while?
Yeah, I mean, I sat in there, 24 hours, 27 hours, whatever it was, 30 hours. I bond out. And that's another thing, And that's why, I don't know if I should have bonded out, to be honest. Because the bond gives them jurisdiction on a bond, even though I don't comply with it. You know, I'm not the one that signs these bonds. You know, I can't. They won't let me pay myself, and you know, me be the person that controls my bond. It's got to be somebody else, right? So.
Do they do bondsman?
Well, no. Where I'm at, you go to the court building, and you can go to the CJC building, to the court clerk's office, and bond through there. I mean, that's where my bonds are done at. But
Okay.
you know, the bonds are in somebody else's name. Somebody's got to be responsible for you. So.
I understand. Yes. So, okay, but no, I think that that's a question that we all ask yourselves. Like you say, I've been arrested as well. I've bonded out on multiple occasions, and you always ask yourself, would it be better to pay them their ransom, for lack of a better term?
Well, I mean, I charge them for that, you know, but the bond, I believe the bond kind of pulls you into their jurisdiction a little bit.
Right.
Because
you're
now,
signing a paper.
Yeah, and even though I signed it under duress, they still, like all my court documents I submitted, nobody's ever said anything about anything I've submitted. I've seen one of my documents pop up, and that's when I put in a motion to dismiss on this prosecutor arrest. Now that popped up on my case.
Yes.
But none of my other stuff has popped up, and I've been submitting stuff for almost a year, you know, or over a year. I've been submitting stuff to the court, and I'm gonna challenge everything. Sure.
Yeah. By the way, have you filed paperwork for a lawsuit on this particular instance
Yeah,
yet?
that's it right there. That's
Okay.
for those people that say that you know, you don't file lawsuits, you don't have money to file lawsuits. I mean, in fact, here's I don't file lawsuits. Here's some more. But
So this is exactly what this is. This has been filed in the United States District Court,
yeah, here's
Southern District of Indianapolis,
I got these
of Indiana, Indianapolis Division.
And then here's
Okay. And this is this is you are to stay away from the Marion County Prosecutor's Office.
Yeah.
And just to point out, when the court itself is ordering you to stay away from public buildings, you should be very concerned about that court's ability or willingness to uphold your constitutional rights. So you've gone above this court, and and Robert has gone to the U.S. District Court, which is a few courts above any of the district courts here in Indiana. And he has filed a complaint against them, and when you file a complaint in court, that is the start of litigation. So that's very interesting. So Robert, you walk the walk when it comes to doing what you say you're going to do as far as holding these people accountable for their actions.
Oh yeah, I mean here's the stuff I filed to the state court. And I mean this is stuff that, you know, we get in trouble if we give legal advice. We're not allowed to do that.
Right.
We're not allowed to say to somebody we know or somebody we care about, hey, do this. So I do say, you know, do your own research. It's right there. But I mean, I've even got backup for the sheriff's department, you know.
And these are quite a few different dates. You go up to the courthouse often and do these motions.
Yeah, and that's just.
And in Indiana, it does say in our Constitution that all courts shall be open and free of charge to the public. Am I right? It does say something along these lines to where you have access to the courts in Indiana. I mean, I believe it's in the Constitution. We'll pull it up. We'll put it on the screen if that is the case. Well, thank you for showing me that, Robert. And man, I want to say, it seems to me like you are a more than decent individual. You're very, very polite and everything. I just cannot believe that these people are doing this to you. I wonder if maybe you had a comment on the way that these cops were conducting themselves as you were getting choke slammed and whatnot. There's a few things that stood out to me in the video, and I want to know if it stood out to you as well. So, at first, the first thing that pops out to me is the man who attacked you, after you had been attacked, he was up on his feet on the camera phone, and you say something like, "I'm hurt, my shoulder is hurt," or "It's hard for me to breathe," and his response was, "No, you ain't.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that."
Yeah.
And it really reminds me of the lady. There's a satirical news. Well, it may not even be satirical, but there's a satirical news story from the mid 2010s in which a lady goes, "I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that." And we'll put that up on the screen as well. That's exactly what it reminded me of. But what did you think about that? I mean, did you think that was behavior becoming of a person that's supposed to uphold the law impartially?
No, I mean, he was in fact, I mean, like I said, I knew there was trouble when they come around the corner, but when I tried to get him to identify himself, name and badge number, I knew right off the bat this guy was off the hook. And
his response was, "It's time for you to leave."
Yeah.
When you asked for his name and
yeah,
badge.
he's like, you gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah.
But I was never trespassed. Now they did ask me, do you want to be trespassed? Or we will charge you with trespassing or, disorderly conduct. And that's when I said, oh, disorderly conduct for defending myself, trespassing on public property. I mean, what are you guys talking about? But I mean, as far as I'm not saying I was choking. I was, after I just got choked, I kind of was choking because I was trying to catch my breath, and it was hard for me to catch my breath. So
your windpipe had just been crushed.
Yeah, I had two thumbs in it for who knows how long. It may not have seemed like that long, but it was long enough to where I didn't realize how my phone ended up out of my hand and on the floor. But once they jerked me out the corner, like I said, it kind of put me back into perspective to what was going on, and then they got the nerve to say, "You should have left." Well, the way it felt to me, you guys just threw me out. You threw me through the first set of doors. How was I not leaving? And then to trespass me after you've already done all that, and have the nerve to open up the paddy wagon and say, "Oh, you're trespassed from the prosecutor's office." Really? Well, I didn't know that. I kind of gathered that as the strangling and the battery and everything else you guys did that was unlawful. I kind of got that feeling that maybe I was trespassed from the prosecutor's office after all that. But, you got to get into my body camera footage because, there's a lot of interesting things that happen on that body camera footage. The officers...
We want to show that incident, by the way. We are going to show that incident in another video. It won't be monetized, but we will make sure that footage comes out to you, the entirety of this gentleman here being ruthlessly attacked by agents of the state. It's unacceptable. It's disgusting. And that footage is going to be linked in the description below, so it'll be easy for you guys to consume. So that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll make sure, because I know if it's available, we'll make sure it's available to them.
all my stuff, it's, like I said, it's all pretty much in order. Pretty much from day one.
And did you notice the second thing that stood out to me was that as you were getting attacked, you and the officer were both repeating the words "go ahead." You and the officer who were attacking you. I don't know who exactly started saying "go ahead," but somebody was copying somebody, and there was a lot of screaming, "Go ahead, go ahead."
Yeah.
There was a third voice, a voice that came in. He seemed concerned. He seemed like he knew what he was involved in was a damnable business. He said, "Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it." Do you recall that? Or were you out for this?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't. The funny thing is I watched this video, and I don't watch them just to see myself.
It must be terrible to rewatch it.
Yeah, I watch it to see because it's not that it's not in my head already, but I want to catch the stuff that I missed. Like I said, I was on I don't know if I actually passed out, but I just had that moment where I don't know what happened. And so I try to look for stuff like that, and then I got some supporters. They're great about timestamp and stuff.
Yes.
And so I go check out those timestamps, and then I'm like, oh yeah, great. You got it where he was stepping on my foot, and then some people got it where their thumbs are in my throat, because everybody's stuck on the fact that he just had a hold of my jacket. Well, that's the appearance, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so much dirty stuff they said. I mean, these officers, I mean, they're pretty. The way I look at it, they just sealed their career, and these officers should be locked up. I mean, this has gone beyond just being fired. These officers need locked up. I mean, the officers clearly said that, yeah, he's one of those people go around recording these public buildings. You know, there's people doing that, so they know what's up. Outside, you know, I don't know who really said that. It might have been one of the sheriffs that showed up. Y'all think I'm on one of his videos? I recognize his voice. I mean, so there's that. And then the other one's talking about, well, if he's talking about suing, I just got a Harley. You know, maybe I should get that out of my name. And then one of the court deputies is like, you guys couldn't wait. You guys couldn't wait 20 seconds while I went and got his bag. Like, you know, he missed out. Like, he wanted to get his hands on me too, or he just wanted to see it. You know, one of the two. I don't know, but I mean, I take it like he wanted to get his hands on me too. You know, I mean,
Sounds like it. If you say you couldn't have just waited for a little
could
bit,
have waited 20 seconds, let me get a punch in or something, you know, or whatever he was thinking. But it's ignorant. Then, you know, you got the whole supervisor coming out saying, yeah, I've been looking for him. I even called upstairs looking for him. And then they get to this, oh, he was being disorderly. We had to remove him from the building. Yeah, defense is disorderly. I mean,
you seemed very. You seemed. I highly doubt you were any more disorderly than any victim that has stepped foot in that place and is distraught. You seemed very calm. You didn't raise your voice until some armed thugs came in and tried to apprehend you or get you to leave a building that you paid for.
yeah.
Which seems to me completely in order. If I was standing in my home in which I paid for, and a servant that I had working in my home presumed to tell me to leave, I'd probably get pretty angry about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I do. I mean,
Yeah.
and I feel like, so, you know, I said I've been watching these for a long time. So, you know, I get on some of these, you know, the panel discussions, and everybody starts coming up with the, well, you know, these guys that cuss them out, they're not doing us any favors and this and that. And then you'll have some that say, well, you know, they got every right to do it. It's not illegal, you know, and they're pretty much let everybody do their own thing. And I am one of those people. I mean, if you get unlawful with me, as much as I want to put my hands on you to defend myself, I mean, I don't want to put my hands on you just to put my hands on you. I want to be able to, I want to defend myself at least, you know. That's the man in me saying, you know, we can't do this. We can't take it like this. But,
well, there's two things that you do when you feel threatened. It's fight or flight.
yeah,
You can't run from the cops. You'll be charged with a crime.
yeah,
And if you fight the cops, I feel extremely sorry for whoever chooses to do that, because if you were to restrain one of them from attacking you, you can be certain that there's 4 more on their way and they're looking for blood.
oh, yeah.
So it's a scary prospect. So of course you would feel that way. Of course you would feel like you want to defend yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in Indiana, there's no, I mean, we got the castle doctrine. We don't have to flee. You know,
Right.
So we got all that in our favor.
We don't have a duty to retreat in Indiana,
exactly.
Public servant or not, and it specifies that in the code.
I mean, in a public place, especially, I mean, you know, you can't make me move from this spot because I'm there. And if you try to move me, then I've got every right to stop you from trying to move me.
Yeah.
That might be fine if me and you were in a public place and, you know, we try to move each other.
Yes.
But put a badge on one of us, and it's a whole entirely different story then.
Yes.
You know, and I'm just ridiculous. And so, I mean, when I sit in court, you know, I look around at all these people and I'm thinking, what a disgraceful bunch of beings, you know. I mean, you got the judge sitting up here above the people, and he's supposed to be judging right and wrong. You got this prosecutor over here. He's really stuck on being a prosecutor, you know. He's stuck on prosecuting. Prosecuting is not his duty. His duty is he's a minister of justice. He should be on my side, but it don't work.